Okay. All right, well, let's get started. Hello and welcome back to our yearly Back to School series for parents. This on Generation Z, sponsored by Jacob's Ladder Therapies. For those of you who are new to us, Jacob's Ladder Therapy specializes in individual, family, and family therapy for teens, tweens, and young adults, and parents suffering with anxiety, depression, mood and personality disorder, and family issues, including marital distress, communication problems, separation, divorce, life transitions, and addiction. Our services are finally back in person at our office in the San Jose, Los Gatos area, and also are delivered via telehealth video sessions. And newly, we've started offering walk and talk sessions in the South, North, and East Bay area. We have a diverse group of licensed clinicians and are able to deliver services in English, Spanish, and Mandarin. You can view all of our clinicians and their bios on our website, www.jacobsladdertherapies.com, which I will put in the comment section. We are also extremely passionate about providing free, informative sessions to the community at large. Today, we have a special treat in being able to share one of our community partners with you. This evening, Ms. Trevi Ragg, Mrs. Trevi Ragg, will share with all of us all about social media and the apps our teens are using. Trevi is a social media marketing expert and entrepreneur. She is the owner of Prestige Marketing Agency and has worked with some of the top media personalities and businesses, including CBS Sports, Ed Milet, Maria Shriver, and Dr. Phil. She is an award-winning YouTube creator and has helped over 1,500 entrepreneurs enhance their online presence and build their businesses online. She is the go-to media marketing strategist and works with top-level influencers, helping them get featured in national publications, including CNBC, BuzzFeed, and Forbes, where her client was named the fastest growing business personality in the history of social media. Some of you may remember Trevi from last year, and you may have noticed the name change. We don't want to forget to congratulate you on your recent nuptials. As a reminder, this session is strictly informative and should not take the place of therapeutic services by a licensed professional. If you or your family member is experiencing a medical or psychiatric emergency, please call 911 or go to your nearest emergency room. If you feel you or your family member could benefit from therapeutic services, please contact us right away. We provide free assessments to help determine the right level of care for your child, even if it's not with us. I will put the link to self-schedule an assessment in the comment section. We are delighted to have an audience of parents, caregivers joining us via Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube. As this is your chance to ask an expert, please post your questions in the comment section and we will address them at the end of the presentation. If you miss any parts of this or want to recap, you can view it in our Jacob's Ladder Therapies Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, and I will post both of those links in the comment section as well. So without further ado, please welcome Mrs. Trevi Ragg.
Thank you so much for that amazing warm welcome. I'm glad to be back again this year. My name's Trevi Ragg now, and I am looking forward to sharing everything that I can with parents and caregivers about social media. It changes so fast. It's very easy to get lost in everything that's out there. And it's really important to understand, where your teens and young adults are hanging out, how you can protect them, and some things to look out for. So Mimi, if you could go to the next slide. So this is all about social media and what you need to know. So first, there's a few things to remember. The information that I'm giving you today is relevant for today. There's not huge drastic changes that always happen in social media, but it is always changing. So keep in mind that, tomorrow there might be a new platform out there, or features that I share with you today may change in a couple of weeks. but in general, you'll get a really good idea on the most popular platforms and what's happening. So there's always changing. There's always new features, and things move around, especially on these more like Facebook. You always see things moving around. There's new apps that come out all the time, and because there's so many social media platforms out there. I'm just going to give a general overview of the most popular ones and go over the things that I think are going to be most important to parents and caregivers on how to keep their teens and young adults safe using these programs. And as social media, especially even more so during the pandemic, but even before we got into the pandemic, social media was a place to hang out. It's the new social currency. It's where you become, no longer is it, kids go to school and they want to see your Instagram to decide whether or not they want to be your friend versus talking to you in person and deciding how they feel about you. So this world of social media is very real, and can, it's very relevant to young adults and even to, older people, generation millennials and Gen Zers also are not, Gen X is not, they're not excluded from this category. So but for young adults, it's even more important as far as social status. And I'm not going to get into I'm not a psychologist or a therapist, so just keep that in mind. I'm strictly coming towards this as what you need to know about social media. Welcome all questions. Please feel free. I'm going to go through individual platforms. If we're on a platform that you have questions about, let me know before I move on, or right before I move on to the next platform. And I'll try to remember to ask for questions, just so that I'm going to be doing a lot of screen sharing. And so it'll make it a little bit easier. If I have that program open, I can get your questions answered if there's something specific that you need. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's go on to the next slide. So the first one I'm going to start with is the one that we're all familiar with. This was, the first social media app that came out, Facebook. Everybody pretty much knows what Facebook is, but Gen Zers are not really on Facebook. They're aware of it. They think it's old. They think it's for old people, me included. So I'm not talking about anybody. I'm also considered old, which to me is crazy, but be that what it may. It's for the older generation. They think it's played out. They don't really have privacy there because their parents and grandparents and family members are probably also using these platforms, and it's just not their thing. That's why it says maybe. Facebook, you're gonna have mostly millennials, and there are some really important, if your kids are on Facebook, there's some really important privacy settings to be aware of. There's some privacy settings to be aware of. If they are on Facebook, you can have a completely private Facebook page, meaning that people wouldn't even be able to search for you. And if say your kid's name is Mary Jane, I do a search for Mary Jane on Facebook, and that profile would never even come up unless a connection is initiated from that account. So it can be extremely private. However, if you have a public Facebook group, remember that Facebook, if you may have done it before, I won't ask anybody if they've ever tried to look someone up on Google, but if your Facebook account is public and you type in the name of the person you're looking for on Google, Facebook will show up in those searches. So just be aware that, you don't have to be searching on Facebook to find someone. If your profile is public, you can look anywhere online and it will show up in the search results. So a couple of things I'm going to, most of the users now are doing things on their phone. And so when I screen share, I'm going to screen share from my phone so that when you're on your phone, or if you're on your teen's phone, you kind of know how to navigate through these things. The desktop platforms sometimes look a little bit different, but I'm going to do it from the phone perspective because that's usually where these interactions are happening, is on mobile. So I'm going to switch over to, I'm going to switch over to my phone and show you these settings. Give me just a moment while I connect. And you should be able to now see, can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen mirroring? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna go over to Facebook and I'm just gonna show you where the Facebook settings are. So apparently I was on Facebook earlier today because it's one of my top apps. So I'm just gonna click on Facebook, and if I go to my menu and I go to settings and privacy, there's you can go through settings and find it, but there's a privacy shortcut. And this will kind of walk you through some of the most important features of being able to um, manage the privacy settings. So you can decide if you want it to be account to be public. You can decide even what information you want displayed. So, when you set up a Facebook account, they're going to ask for your birth date. They might even ask for your address, and they might ask for your phone number, all this personal information. And you can decide how much of that information you want to be displayed or none of it at all. So you have a wide range of options when it comes to the Facebook privacy settings. And let me see. So I'm going to go into settings. And if I scroll down to security, privacy, you have the privacy settings, and there's a whole bunch of options you can choose from. Who can send you friends requests, who can add you, who can see your personal information. So that's going to be the place to find on Facebook. Let's see. Oops. Are there any questions so far about privacy on Facebook? No? Okay. So the next thing that you need to know on Facebook is so how are people communicating on Facebook? You see at the top here, there's these stories. These are cute little 15-second clips. They disappear after 24 hours. Sometimes this disappearing content can sometimes lead to people putting things on there that they think won't last forever. So just be careful about that. There's always screenshots. And so you just want to be aware, everything that you put out there lasts forever. And then another thing is messaging. So if I'm on my regular Facebook app, you actually have to download a second app to be able to send messages back and forth to people on Facebook. So I'm not talking about comments or anything like that, actual messages. So if you're looking to try and see, who's communicating with your young adults, you have to have a whole separate Messenger app that exists. That's where your messages live online. So just make sure that if you're on the mobile and you're looking, you won't see messages unless you open that Messenger app. All right. So now let's jump over to Instagram. So Instagram used to be the number one place for young people to hang out. It's not really the number one place anymore, but it's still relevant. I've literally, this is kind of like a snapshot of a young person's identity on their Instagram. It's a purely visual platform. It's all about posting photos and videos, and Instagram is always evolving. There's always like all kinds of new content out there, new types of content that you can put out there. And so I just want to go over the basic functions of Instagram and what it's used for and how it's used. So the first thing is you'll see you post photos and videos that live on this little grid style on the account, and then at the top there's more than just you see this little grid. You see this little grid at the top, and then you see this little TV button. This is another section called IGTVs. You can have 3, 4, 5 different segments of these sections at the top, and all of these have different content. So just to be aware that there's more than one page to an Instagram. Somebody could have, 3 or 4 of these. For example, let's go to this account. This is another section. Actually, I'll go to one that has more. Let's go to this one. So this account has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 segments right here at the top. There's 5 segments. And so there's 5 different pages of content that somebody that anybody at any given time can be posting. So you have your regular posts, you have your reels. Your reels are short video content. This is a newer feature. It's kind of playing off of TikTok, which we'll go over in a little bit. Then you have IGTV videos, which are long form videos. And then you have guides. Guides are a new feature. They're kind of like how to long form PDFs. And then tags content. So there could be multiple pages that are listed in your Instagram account. This is relatively new, so you want to keep an eye out for that. Another feature that exists on Instagram is they're called stories. So stories are another really popular short form content that disappear after 24 hours. Again, this is borrowing from the concept that Snapchat came out with that we'll get to a little bit later. But if I click on a story, you can have photos, you can have videos, you can have little stickers or, anything that you want on these stories, and they disappear after 24 hours. They may or may not be saved, so just being aware that these things exist. And Instagram has similar security features that you'll find on Facebook. So if I go to back to my account, and I go into my settings, this little 3 bars at the top here, and I can go into my settings, and I'm gonna go click on privacy. And so Instagram, your account can either be public or private. If your account is public, then anybody can see all of the content on your profile. If your account is private, the profile will still show up that it exists. They can still see your profile photo. However, they won't be able to see any of the content on your actual page unless they request to be added as a friend. Once they send a request, the account owner has the option to either approve or deny that request and allow that person whether to or not see their content. The same way that a Facebook profile will show up in a Google search, so will the Instagram account. Maybe it could be above or even right below the Facebook profile. So if that profile is public, it will show up in the search. Let's see. So, that's the top button, private or hidden, private account. And then another thing to know and this applies both to Instagram and to Facebook, is that you can create private groups of friends on both of these accounts. And so say for an example, you have a young person who wants to post something, but they don't want their parents to see it. Whether it's a main feed post or if it's a story that disappears in 24 hours, they can send it only to a certain group of people that have access to see their actual real content. So one thing to be aware of is that just because you see something on Instagram doesn't mean that that's the only thing that's being posted on Instagram. There's different levels of access to the content. And that feature is called close friends. So that you can have groups called close friends where you might post something a little bit more risque or something you don't want someone to see in that group. I'm going to stop share. Can you pull back up my PowerPoint for me? And while that's coming back up, I will pause to see if there's any questions on Facebook or Instagram so far. As I'm looking at this, I did forget to mention one thing. On Facebook, you can send and receive money. So that's just something to be aware of. It's very easy to do. It's quick, it's an instant. You just tap a button how much you want someone to send you, and it comes right to your account right away. So that's another option. And then if you could go forward to the next page for me. Great. So these are just the main points that I went over on Instagram, the different types of posts, the main features, how you use it, close friends. Again, this is for Instagram, and for Facebook. So both of them have this option. Oh, and I'm sure you've heard the song or like somewhere mentioned that it goes down in the DMs. DMs are the how you communicate and send private messages to users on Instagram. And so usually, you know, this is also, I'm going to go over dating apps soon, but sliding into someone's DMs is a reference to Instagram. This is where relationships are created and where people communicate. It's a very popular platform. So just being aware that you can send direct messages. It's called a DM. And then we did go over those privacy settings. So any questions for Instagram? No? Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Great. TikTok. So TikTok is the newest amazing trend that's happening right now, especially with Gen Z. They are all over TikTok. It's probably the most popular platform for Gen Zers right now. It is, you know, and I'm not sure if it's surpassed Instagram yet. It probably may have, but it's really popular. It's the new craze, and you know that everybody wants to be on the new platforms. Gen Zers spend a lot of their time here, literally just scrolling through video. So TikTok is all video. They're all short form video content that anybody can, you know, similar to Instagram or Facebook, social, anybody can post them. And it's really popular. This is where a lot of those viral dances and trends get started, on TikTok. And then they kind of disperse out to the other platforms, Instagram, Facebooks. But TikTok is the viral, where virality happens. So I mentioned that because that's important to understand that anything that you post on TikTok has way more potential and way more potential reach, like ability to get in front of more people than these other platforms. So you want to be aware of what content a young person is putting out on that platform. It is the easiest platform to go viral, which is why, you know, everybody who wants to get their face out there or wants, you know, they want to rake up the likes and the views, this is the platform that they're going to be using, definitely. You can, you know, the functionality of TikTok, you post a video, you can like the video, you can follow an account, or you can also send direct messages in TikTok. So these are all platforms to be monitoring and looking at the communication that's happening. There are direct messages. It does also link to the Instagram profile. So if you're on someone's TikTok account and you want to learn more about them, you can go click on a link that takes them directly to their Instagram. So those two platforms work together. And the privacy settings on TikTok are really similar to Instagram. They allow you either to have a completely public or a completely private profile where someone would have to request access to your account before they're able to see the videos that you've posted. Any questions about TikTok? No? Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Snapchat. So Snapchat, I would honestly say that TikTok probably replaced Snapchat as the go-to app for young people. However, Snapchat has the subtitle "No Parents Allowed" because the majority of young people who use this app like it because everything on Snapchat disappears within 24 hours. And this was the original platform where that feature started. And so a lot of young people believe that, well, you know, I can be a little bit more risky with what I post on here because it'll disappear in 24 hours. However, we all know that that's just whatever you put on the internet, that's just not the case. And anyone, you know, at any time could take a screenshot, screen record, and that content will live on forever. Like I said, it's the home of the 24-hour post. And another interesting feature about Snapchat is that it also has geolocation, which means that anyone who's a friend on your Snapchat account, they can actually, if it's turned on, they can actually locate where you are right now at any given time. So I'm gonna screen share and show you what that looks like. back to my phone. There we go. Bye-bye Instagram. Hello Snapchat. So it opens right to video because it's all about video. The only thing you can post photos or video on Snapchat. But so if you go into a Snapchat account, I want to show you what that geolocation looks like. This is called a snap map. And so it uses your little caricature Bitmoji. And you can see right here in the middle, I'll move it to the top, that if mine is turned off, I'm in ghost mode, but if I turned it on, all of my friends could see exactly where I'm located. And it's actually very accurate. Right now it's got a pinpoint on where I live. And it, goes in to show, I mean, looks like this is an older map because where I live is newly developed location, but I mean, it's right down to the street that I'm on. So be very aware of that. If your young person is using Snapchat with this geolocation on, they can be found by any of their friends at any time. And then while I'm screen sharing, I'll jump back over to TikTok just to give you a visual of what TikTok looks like. As soon as I open it up, here's the video. So if you get little videos like you were looking at, they last for like, I think they're up to a minute long on Instagram. A minute long on TikTok. And you can put the little heart to like it. You can leave a comment on the content, or you can send a direct message to someone. So if I go to my inbox, you can see that, and I go to do messages. You can send messages back and forth to people also on TikTok. Okay. Let's go back. I'm going to stop share. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. All right. And next slide, please. WhatsApp. All right. So WhatsApp is a backup communication platform. And basically, this communication platform works over Wi-Fi, which means that you do not need cellular service to be able to connect with people. You can send text messages, video, or photo. You can make phone calls. You can video chat. You can send voice notes. Everything that you could do in your regular messaging app and more, you can do on WhatsApp over Wi-Fi, which means that if a young person is making a phone call, that phone call is not going to be logged on the phone bill because it didn't go through the cellular carrier. It went through Wi-Fi. And so there's really no record of it other than looking into WhatsApp and seeing what calls were made from that account. The WhatsApp can be linked to the regular phone number, and it can also give you a second phone number or like a faux phone number to use if you don't even have if you don't have a phone number from a regular cell carrier. And this is a totally separate app. So, these messages don't show up in the regular messaging app on Android or iPhone. So this is something that can live separately. Another thing about this is that, if you delete WhatsApp, the app on your phone, and then you re-download it, it's still going to keep all of the old messages and contacts. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't really ever delete, and it stays, you can do everything without going through your cellular carrier. All you need is Wi-Fi. A lot of people use this also for international communication because, it doesn't cost anything. It's free to use. You don't have to pay to use WhatsApp. You can talk to anybody anywhere in the United States. Anywhere in the world. And another thing is that it's really, it's full of spam. So on my WhatsApp, and I'll show you, I'll get random messages from, international phone numbers trying to sell me something. And I don't really know how they get the phone numbers, or, if WhatsApp solicits the numbers, or if there's a way that there's some kind of content sharing from a website that I went to and they shared my phone number and they contacting through WhatsApp. There's a lot of different ways to get access to someone's phone number. But it is, it's very unlikely. Sometimes you might get spam, like in your text messages. The same thing happens in WhatsApp, but probably at a higher rate. So just be aware of that. It's highly accessible as well. There's no real privacy settings. If anyone gets a hold of that WhatsApp account, anyone can contact that profile. Let's see. And also note that this is not the only app like this. This is just the most popular one. There's dozens of messaging apps that are similar to WhatsApp. So just keep that in mind. This isn't the only one. This is probably just the most popular one. Okay, any questions about WhatsApp? No? Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Clubhouse. So Clubhouse is brand new, and it's brand new in the world of all these other apps. So Clubhouse has been around probably for maybe 6 months, 6 to 9 months, I'd say. And Clubhouse is all about the audio. It's strictly an audio platform. All you have is your profile picture, and you have a little bio about yourself, and you join rooms where people just talk to each other. And there's rooms on every single kind of topic that you can think of. If you're an entrepreneur, there's rooms about growing your business. There's rooms about they've held Broadway auditions on Clubhouse with letting people just sing. There's, hang out, and there's games. People play games on here. People, anything you could possibly think of. The dating, people play, matchmaker on here on the audio platforms. And it's really freeing for people because, you don't have to get dressed up. You don't have to look great. You just get on audio and you can talk. So people, can do it all times of the night, anytime, anywhere. And so this has this has caught fire a little bit. A lot of people are transitioning over to this platform. It's available. It used to be just available on iPhone. Now it's also available on Android. So everybody has access to this platform. This platform can link to your Instagram and your Twitter account. So if somebody were to click into someone's profile on Clubhouse, they can link that directly and go, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. You can also send and receive payments on this app. So be aware of that. If a young person is using this app, they do have the ability to receive or send funds through this app. And there's there's groups. So you can join groups of people that are related to a certain topic. And basically whenever somebody in that group starts a new room, that you'll get notified, hey, our group is starting a room, come in and join the audio chat and talk with us. Unlike the other other platforms out there, Clubhouse is completely public. There is no option to make your account private. And so, if anybody wants to contact you or talk to you in a room, there's no way to hide your profile or that you have a profile on Clubhouse. It's just all public. I'm going to switch back and just kind of give you a really brief look into how it functions and what it looks like, just because it's so new. And you can kind of take a look at how this functions. And you'll find everything on here from professional to inappropriate content. So there's no filter on this, just whatever someone's thinking of at the moment, you'll probably find it on Clubhouse. So it opens right up. All of these are rooms that are open right now. So as you can see, the first one at the top is DM Nightmares. Share your worst DMs with us. This is another room on Warren Buffett motivation. This is another hip hop room. This is, so much, so much. So let's see, this is one because I've used Clubhouse and I use it a lot for business, it's showing me rooms that it thinks that I'm going to like. So just because there's more business stuff when you're looking at mine, that doesn't mean that's what's going to show up, on someone else's accounts, depending on what kind of rooms and what topics that they've said that they're interested in. So I'm just going to jump into one just so you can kind of get an idea of how it works. And let's join this one. They're pitching their startups.
Carla, really, really awesome investor and entrepreneur. So be sure to connect with her. And as soon as I am back in Miami, which should be early November, would love to connect with you as well as we kind of get ready to plan some of like in-person events with some really good alcohol.
100%.
So I turn the volume down because somebody's actually speaking. So the way that it works is at the top, the person with this little gray circle around them is a person that's talking. At the top, if they have a little, if they're at the top, they have the ability to speak. You can see they have a little microphone icon. They're just all muted right now because respectfully, somebody's talking. And then down below, you have people who are listening. So these are people who are talking. These are people who are listening. And they don't have the ability to speak. You see, they don't have the microphone icon. So, there's hundreds and hundreds of rooms. So there's just kind of a brief dive into what it looks like. And the only, this is what a profile looks like on Clubhouse. It's just text. There's only one photo that you can put up. You do a little bio about yourself. And then again, down below, you see that my Instagram is linked down below, and I could add my Twitter if I was a Twitter user. That's the full functionality. And then down below are the groups that I mentioned. So these are the groups that I'm actually a part of. So you can scroll through those and kind of see what a young person's groups they might be interacting with. Okay. If you could pull back up my presentation, and then I'm gonna make sure I covered everything on Clubhouse, and then, yes, I did. We can go on to the next slide, please. Dating apps, dun, dun, dun. Okay, so I'm just gonna give a general overview on dating apps. It's all about the hookup. Just to be aware of what they are, you've got Bumble, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, Match, OkCupid, plus hundreds more that I couldn't possibly begin to put a list together for you. But the basic functionality of the dating apps is profile picture comes up, you swipe right or left whether or not you like this person. If you both like each other, they say, hey, you're a match, you should communicate with each other, and you start messaging. They usually require that you're 18 and over to use these sites. So just to know, if you do see a young person on here, it's not built for them. So just be aware that these are mostly all 18 and over sites. And there's always, of course, predators on these sites. So be careful. And there's just so many. These are some of the symbols. So I put up a photo of some of the symbols to look out for, and some of the names that you might be looking for, to see if, that might be something that's on a young person's phone. Questions on dating apps? No? Okay.
Abby, sorry, there are a ton of questions, but I'll save them for the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go to the next slide, please. Gaming platforms. So when I say gaming platforms, I'm not talking about apps on your phone. I'm talking about if you're a child or young person, it plays games where they're at their computer and they have to be at their computer. Most likely they're playing it on a gaming platform because the game data is so big that, gone are the days where you would go to Best Buy or Fry's and buy a CD and download a game on your computer. You actually download the game from a gaming platform, and it's a whole system that houses a certain amount of games. they download the game on that platform and they're playing it on the actual gaming platform. So one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that while that young person is playing video games, it's also highly social. These things have, full messaging capabilities. You can be talking to each other while you're playing the game. You can send messages back and forth while you're not playing the game. You can communicate, you can link your profiles and share information and all kinds of stuff. Voice chat, you can do video chat now while you're playing games. So just be aware that these platforms are developed to be social and keep young people on their platforms with communicating with each other. Just being aware that it's not just a game, this is an actual social experience that this young person is having. And so some of the gaming platforms that you might see your young people using are Twitch, Steam, GOG, Origin, Galaxy. Facebook has its actually own new gaming platform, and there's more. But these are just the most popular ones that have some of the more popular games on them. Okay, next slide, please. And then now we're talking about gaming apps. So these are the little apps that you download on your phone that you can get from the App Store or the Google Play Store. These games, yes, some of them are just for fun. It's even the ones for young people, but some of them have some chat features that probably shouldn't be there, especially for younger people, that are built into the game, where you can create profiles, you can send messages, you can, a lot of these games ask you to link to your Facebook page. So just by downloading the game and agreeing to the terms, now anybody could go into your profile and see your Facebook and go, looking through all their information and contact and send messages. So just be aware. Personal experience, so several years ago, I was talking to my goddaughter on the phone, and at the time she was like maybe 8. And I said, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I'm playing this game on my phone and I'm talking to my friend. And I'm like, what game on your phone are you playing? And she's like, it's some like doll dress up game. And, there's a chat box at the bottom and she's just talking to this random person about her doll. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like put your mother on the phone, right? Like things that you may not think of, just being aware that these features are there in the gaming apps as well. Next screen for me. Oh, okay. This and hidden apps. Okay, especially when you're getting into the older kids, there are hidden apps. That means that if you look at this photo that I placed on the screen here, it looks like a calculator, but it says calculator, that the app is a calculator app, like the regular calculator app on your phone. You open it up, it looks like a calculator. However, you put in the code with the numbers and it reveals a secret photo gallery, right? So like that's an example of a hidden app. So be aware there's like, hidden photo apps that look like something, but they're really something else when you open them up and do a certain, push certain codes in. And then also there's that delete and re-download that I had mentioned. So say, for example, WhatsApp, if you're looking at, if maybe somebody gets their phone taken away, they delete the app off their phone, you won't really know that it's deleted. Once they re-download that app, they're not losing any data. All their contacts and information and previous messages or whatever they were doing on there is still going to be on there and it's just going to come right back. So, I don't know what the workaround is for that, but just being aware that that's there. Excuse me. And that, these apps exist and to understand that. Just be aware, right? Next slide for me. Any questions?
Yes, there are questions. So, thank you for that, Trevi. I have quite a few questions. We'll see how many we can get to.
Awesome.
One, can I censor what my child sees on TikTok and Instagram?
No. So you cannot censor. TikTok has very few privacy settings. Literally, it's, toggle on private or not. There are no other filters as far as like, can I control what else might show up? And anything in the world might show up. And remember, and I will, so like, no, the simple answer to that is no. Instagram does have a the one only thing that Instagram does do is that like if there's graphic content, maybe there's blood or something inappropriate, they will block it and they'll say, hey, this content is graphic. Make sure you're 18 or over before you watch it. And then you can just click it and then it'll open. So no, not really.
Okay. We've heard this word before and you didn't mention it, but what is an influencer?
An influencer is somebody who has social currency, and they use that social currency to influence the decisions and actions of others. So anyone on any social platform, it could be Instagram, it could be TikTok, it could be usually Instagram and TikTok are the most popular ones, but it really could be any platform. They have a large amount of followers. Everybody wants to be like them because they're cool. And usually, you know, they may or may not be making money on social media. Usually the word influencer means like it's a career for them and they're monetizing their account to make money. Maybe they're selling, you know, pushing products, or maybe they get paid because they get so many views, or YouTube, like maybe they get so many views on their YouTube, so they get paid for it. But it's basically just somebody who has a lot of social currency, which is like they get a lot of likes, they get a lot of views, they have 1 million followers. It doesn't have to be 1 million, but like just as an example, they have a lot of followers. And I'll actually be really specific. Like I say, you know, an influencer could be 1 million followers, but in a school setting, an influencer could be somebody at school or in high school who just has, you know, a couple hundred followers and everybody else doesn't, right? So the scale is not relative. The scale doesn't really matter. It's just the perception of, oh my gosh, this person is popular on social media. Then you become an influencer. It's the new popular thing.
Okay. And what is a Bitmoji? You mentioned that.
Yeah, so a Bitmoji is a little caricature that you can make. It's on iPhone. It's a little caricature you can make of yourself, and it links to certain apps. So like, you know, I have like when I showed you my Snapchat, it was like a little caricature and it has my face, and I can dress it up in little clothes that I like, and I can pick my facial features to make it look like me, and I can put clothes on it. And then I can use that Bitmoji to like send funny faces of my Bitmoji in my text messaging app, or I can use it on my Snapchat, or I can, you know, you can take a screenshot of it and maybe share it on Facebook. It's just like a little caricature, a mini caricature of yourself. So, and you can get one if you go to Bitmoji in the App Store, you can download it and make one for yourself.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I'm gonna have to come back to that question. I'm gonna clarify that one. The other one, can I turn off my kids? I guess they're asking, do you mean to say that I can turn off my kids' phone, like they don't have any phone service, but they can still text?
Yes. Yes. If they have their phone physically in their possession and they're on Wi-Fi, they can text anywhere. They can be on home Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. They can go to McDonald's and join the McDonald's free Wi-Fi, the Starbucks free Wi-Fi, and they can send messages. They can do it on their phone. They can do it on their iPad. They can do it on their, I don't know if the iPods are a thing, but anything that connects to Wi-Fi and has the apps that you can download, they can text.
Okay. Another question is, you mentioned that some of the dating apps, you're supposed to be 18 years old. How do the apps know if my child is 18 or not?
They have no idea. They basically say, check this box and say that you're 18 and over, and then they allow them into the site to communicate with whoever else is on there. So it's all up to user discretion. They don't check, they don't come back later and filter through to find it. And they, you know, they have somebody to make a profile, they would have to say that they're 18, right? So like say, you can't go on a dating app and say that I'm, you know, 12 or 13, they'd be pretending to be 18.
So just as a follow-up to that, how can I report, like if I know that my teen is using a dating app and they're not 18, is there a way for me to report that to the dating app to get them kicked off?
Yeah, you can report an account or reach out to the app. The reach out to the, that's something that you would do. So say like if it's most of the dating apps, they don't necessarily, you can do it, right? You can send a report on an account. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to kick your kid off, close that account. It really depends on the app that you're working with. So like, in the, the caliber of that app, right? So like, if we're talking about like Match.com, which is a paid site, and it has a full website, you probably would have more luck getting something like that shut down than like you would on Tinder, which you send a report into Tinder and then pray that something happens, and you really don't know. Like, there's not a lot of accountability behind that. So unfortunately, I don't have there's not a really great answer to that.
Okay, thank you. How do I know if my teen has hidden apps? Like, how do I figure that out and like be able to open it?
Well, that's the nature of a hidden app, right? The nature of a hidden app is that it's hidden, and you wouldn't be able to tell, if you open it up and you're looking for something, you probably, the only way to do it is to like check the apps, right? If something looks out of place, if there's multiple calculator apps, right? Or if there's something that you don't really know what it is and you open it and it doesn't seem to have any functionality, that's a little indication that there's a little trick to this, and that there's something hidden. I also would say, if you think that there may be hidden apps, maybe don't give an advanced warning that I'm going to take your phone, so that they don't have a chance to delete it, or to hide it or get rid of it, or maybe to lock it, or to add more things to it so that you can't see it. It's very hard to find them. That's what they're built for. But just being aware, and looking for things that might be a little bit out of place or like strange. The biggest key is like strange functionality. That you may not be able to get into it, unless you might look up the app on your phone and see if there's a common code to get into it. But if it's like a custom lock, ask them to open it. I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, can I unlock? Is there a way for me to unlock my kid's phone if I don't have their password? And I'm going to add a little piece to it from the therapist standpoint, but from the technical standpoint, maybe you can answer, how can I unlock my kid's phone if I don't have their password?
So I honestly am, I only have like the general response to that, but there may be apps out. So in general, no, like iPhone, especially for an iPhone, you can't break into an iPhone, right? That's not something that's allowed. Although there might be apps that are out there that you can put on your child's phone that allows you to get into them. I don't really know what those are. That might be a question for you, Demetra, to answer, because I'm not sure. But in general, no.
From a therapist standpoint, that question I'm just going to answer, like, we do tell parents that you should you should be able to access your kid's phone. So there should not be a device that is in your home that you don't have access to if you need to. Meaning the teen has a password on their phone, which is important in case it gets lost or stolen. But you should have the password to that phone. And that's for safety reasons. And it's a conversation that you have with your teen when you first give them the phone, whether they're paying for it or not, that having a phone is a privilege. And if I feel like there's a safety concern, then I do have the right to go through it. So there be there could be several options. Either I have the password to your phone, or you don't have a phone. Or you give me you end up giving me the device. Because as Trevi said, just, turning off the phone is not going to be good enough, because they could use all of the apps with or without cell service. And I guess another follow-up question, if they don't have Wi-Fi, you mentioned that they could get Wi-Fi anywhere. So, there could be a neighbor that has their Wi-Fi not locked, or they can go to McDonald's or just anywhere down the street or to their friend's house. And we have known teens where if you take the phone away, they will have another phone. They will just go get another phone. And we know teens, they're very smart and savvy, and they will keep that phone either at a friend's house or at school. And so it really needs to be a conversation and a trust factor between you and your teen. I am not going to go through your phone unless I absolutely need to, and you will give me the password to the phone, or there will be no devices in the house. So that's something that we feel very strongly, especially if we're talking about a teen who has mental health issues. That's really important for you to monitor what they're doing on the internet. Not in a way that you're snooping, because if they really feel like you're snooping or you're intruding, or you just want to be nosy to see what they're saying and how they're talking to their friends, then they're going to go around behind your back. But if you have a level of trust with them, and that you explain to them when you will go through their phone, then that's something that can be established within a relationship. If there's a issue in the home where that is, that's a source of contention, that is usually when we say you probably need to get some professional help, and seek out therapeutic services to try to figure out how to keep devices and keep social media and keep all these things safe. As you can see, Trevi told you about 1 million apps already, and those are just a very small snippet of what kids are able to access. Trevi, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, you hit the nail on the head.
Okay. One other question. So say my child, like part of the rules is that if you don't do something, then I take away your phone. Do I need to take away all their devices, like phone, iPad, computer, everything, in order for them not to be able to engage, or is just taking away their phone good enough?
No, you want to, if the goal is to get them not to be able to communicate with their friends, then they don't need their phone to do that. They can do it. Any app that I can download on my computer, on my phone, I can download on my tablet, Android or iPad, Galaxy, whatever it is. I can use Instagram on my computer. So, everything that connects would have to be shut down.
And one other quick question, as a parent, after all this, everything you told me, I kind of don't want my kid to be on social media at all. Is it realistic that I would restrict my kid from social media completely?
Is it realistic?
Like, is it something that would is it possible for me to do? And two, would it cause more harm than good? Like, is there anything good about being, having social media?
So what I can think of, and this is just from, being so ingrained in social media and from what I've seen, is that social media is like the new way to communicate. So like, if you've taken away all of social media, you've taken away, someone's ability to connect in a way that's relatable to other people. Even my age, I'm a millennial. Even in my age, like if, you don't have, it's a disconnect, right? There's people who aren't on it. But I think it would be really, 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 really hard, especially if a teen is already on it, taking it away. So social, and I will explain this, that these programs are designed intentionally to be addictive. And, it's not just social media. It's like, your Gmail, right? The Gmail on your phone. They want you to use your phone and open it so that you're connected to it. And you don't, your phone is a staple of all of our lives now. And it's kind of the same thing for any age, really. Like, this is their social currency. This is how they communicate. This is how they connect. I don't think it's realistic to say that to take it away, it's going to, it could cause some extreme, like, emotional distress and anxiety. And that's just the way that it's designed. Like, it's designed to do that. When somebody likes your photo, you get excited, right? You want to see who liked your photo. You want to see who did it. When you remove that, especially when they've already been on it, it's going to be really, really hard. And I would just expect that somebody might freak out if you decided to do that, especially cold turkey, maybe limiting what they do, or being open about what you're doing, and understanding, as a parent, like what features there are, right? Like, so you're not, completely not sure what's going on, and they're on Snapchat and their things are disappearing and you're thinking that they're not posting on Snapchat. Well, how Snapchat works now, and that's not the case. It's just disappeared by the time you got to it.
Mhm, mhm. Thank you so much for that, Trevi. And there are, we could talk about that for days in terms of, how social media is addictive. There's a physiological response to it. And I would probably agree with you as a therapist, from a therapist standpoint, taking away social media altogether is literally like disconnecting them from the entire world. And so, is it possible? Maybe. Is it probable? No. Is it good for their mental health? Probably not. But everything needs to be done in moderation. So thank you. I'm glad that we heard that from a social media expert. And again, if there is if there's a lot of strain in the house over social media, professional help is definitely recommended. So with that, I would like to thank the ever knowledgeable and talented Mrs. Trevi Ragg for all the important information you dropped on us tonight. And I'm thankful to have community partners like you who are willing to take time out to be real with us about our kids. If you are interested in contacting Trevi for any additional speaking engagements, or you just want like a private session with her about your own teen and their social media, send me an email at info@jacobsladdertherapies.com and we will pass on the information. I would like to thank all of you who joined us today. If you missed any parts of that or want to recap, you can view it in our Jacobs Ladder Therapies Facebook page or YouTube channel. And these links have been posted in the comments section. If you feel that you or your family member could benefit from therapeutic services, please contact us. Sorry, I'm just putting all of the things in the comment section real quick. If you feel like you or your family member could benefit from therapeutic services, please contact us. We provide free assessments to help determine the right level of care for your family member, even if it's not with us. And yes, we are accepting new clients for both in-person, walk and talk, and video sessions. And I have already put the link to self-schedule an assessment in the comment section. You can view all of our clinicians on our website at www.jacobsladdertherapies.com. Thank you again, Trevi, and to all of our viewers, please stay safe, be well, and good night.
Thank you for having me. Look forward to next year.
See you next year.